This one is a little tearjerker.
Aww.
A lot of awards, though.
Oh, wow.
Am I the asshole for refusing to attend an apology dinner after my mother-in-law called me a bad mother at my son's funeral?
Okay, that's tough, but I feel like I need to hear more.
I lost my son to congenital heart disease, and he did not survive the open heart surgery at the age of 1 year and 6 months. He was the greatest blessing I had in my life. Everyone kept telling me things will get easier with time. I know that no matter how much time goes by, I'll still be missing my baby and everything sweet about him. Mother-in-law and I were in constant conflict. Things always been bad between us, but in those months, we reached our limit. She kept getting involved in my son's treatment and criticized every decision I made, claiming I didn't know how to handle my son's illness. We went low contact, but she kept causing issues occasionally. My husband was torn between our son's illness and his mother's issues. When my son passed away, she came to the funeral and caused a scene by arguing with me, knowing I had no energy for it.
Oh my gosh. Can't imagine.
Wrong fucking place, lady.
Yeah.
She used the fact that everyone was there so she could say it was my fault my son was born sick and I didn't take care of him properly, that I didn't listen to her when suggested other ways to treat his condition. Yeah, because I'm sure you know fucking more than the doctors.
Yeah.
Right. And that I was the one who took their grandchild away from them and caused them heartache. She then loudly called me a bad mother. I had no idea how I kept my composure and kept standing on my feet. Mm-hmm. My mom and sisters responded by telling her to leave. My husband was sitting down crying. She then went to tell everyone I kicked her out as a way to hurt her further and lied that I convinced my husband to ban her from visiting her grandson's grave.
Wow.
Fucking
wow.
Bitch.
What a narcissist.
Insane lady.
Yeah.
Like completely insane.
Yeah. But you know what? I will say, not defending her at all, but like my dad was telling me this about people. It's actually such a good point. Like when people are facing grief or dealing with like that kind of trauma, there's like phases, and there's a phase, and hopefully it's a phase and it passes, but there's this phase where you just need somebody to blame. And it's not right. It's not right at all, but she just needs somebody to blame. She can't just like leave it up to whatever higher power or God or the universe or whoever, whatever, to be like, my grandson was taken and that was just that was written in the cards and it is what it is and I need to accept it. She needs to blame somebody.
Yeah.
Instead of blaming the doctors or the treatment, it's easier for her to blame her whatever daughter-in-law.
Yeah, she's an easy target.
And it sounds like they already had tension. So yeah. Easier target.
Definitely. Mother-in-law dynamics can be really tough.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Not there yet, but
just, yeah.
Yeah, you hear all those stories, I feel like, and you're like, that will never be me. Like, just get along, girl. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just be like agreeable or, you know.
Be a duck. Let it roll off your back.
Yeah, but then again, I see the older you get and the closer you get to that possibility of like having this second mother, I think you start to see like, wow, I see why people get into it.
These issues.
Like that's a really weird dynamic to straddle. Like,
yeah,
someone who's like not your mother, but like acts like a mother and could be a mother in positive ways and not so positive ways.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I can see now where these issues arise.
Yeah. I think something that's really interesting too, because like, yeah, it's not your mom. So it's like, you don't have to necessarily have a relationship, but like say you guys have kids.
Yeah.
Like your mom and his mom, aka your mother-in-law, are equally grandparents.
True.
And
no
so
one
it's
trumps
like,
the other.
It's like, oh my God, like
it's got to be tough when like your mom and your mother-in-law have like conflicting ideologies.
Yeah.
You know? And you're like, well, I don't want to piss off. Because it's easier sometimes to go against the grain with your own mom. Because you're like, it's kind of like.
It's what you've done.
And they'll love you anyway, right? Like,
yeah.
Ask for forgiveness, not permission. Like, oh, mom, or whatever, you'll come around. But like your mother-in-law, they don't have to love you.
No.
They don't have to. They just have to tolerate you.
No. And you also don't, like, if your husband is taking your mother-in-law's side.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's such a big point of contention in your own marriage, in your own house. I definitely want to have another episode on this. Because, like,
mother-in-laws?
And, like, I could go down a rabbit hole on this because there's something with being a woman. Mm-hmm. And we have an easier time setting boundaries with our parents, especially our mothers, because it's something we've done throughout our whole lives. We've gone through stages in our life, like high school. You don't even know me. Like, you're constantly battling with your mom and like trying to establish your own self as a young girl.
Yeah, that's true.
And so we're setting these boundaries, whereas young males don't go through these same points of contention.
It would be so
with their
interesting
moms.
to do an episode on this, actually, because
We'll do it.
there are very distinct parenting styles that I have
Oh my
noticed
God.
being, as my mom likes to call me, biracial. My mother was like, Alejandra, you are biracial. And I was like, tell that to everyone who calls me a white girl, because I'm like, to the world, I'm a white girl. But my mom's like, don't forget you are biracial. And so, because she was like lecturing me on like Latin culture, because
Yeah.
I didn't get it. But anyway, that was a rabbit hole. No, moms and mother-in-laws would be a very interesting.
We'll get there. We'll definitely get there. Okay, so back to this poor woman who is dealing with a mother-in-law from hell.
Yeah.
So she basically said, like, she told everyone I kicked her out as a way to hurt her further. My husband later sent his side of the family an email talking about my mother-in-law's behavior during and after our son's illness and telling them he no longer will be seeing her. That had the family criticizing us, saying mother-in-law was just trying to do what was best for her grandbaby and called us selfish for assuming we're the only ones struggling with this tragedy. Yeah, I get that at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But there's no comparison to losing a
A parent's
child.
pain.
Yeah, losing a child versus losing a grandchild.
Yeah, no.
A parent's
Or like
pain.
a niece or whatever, nephew.
Yeah, no.
No.
Like the ones that are going to be struggling and hurting the most are those parents.
Yeah.
They do not need to be dealing with any more stress, fucking
Yeah.
chaos
Yeah.
at a funeral.
Yeah.
Already the worst day of their lives.
Like slice it however you want. Yeah, okay, the grandma was hurt, but like it's inexcusable to show up to a funeral and place. You can think that all day long, and you can have that conversation later if you must.
Save it for a rainy day,
But
bitch.
yeah, you don't show up to the funeral. You fucking swallow that. You put on your black shades and you sit there and you mourn with your mother and you give your condolences and you grieve. And then later on, when you're level-headed and the emotions have subsided a little bit, you calmly have this conversation and you say, hey, if you must, but like,
Yeah. And if you even want to, bring the heat and like talk shit, save it for fucking Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You have
Thanksgiving. Oh God.
Thanksgiving is always rocky for, well, not
Really?
always, but Thanksgiving's a rocky holiday for a lot of people. All the holidays can be
True,
rocky, but
true.
like save it for another time when everyone's together. If
No,
that's
don't even.
if that's the audience you want.
I feel like, well, okay. if
She did
wants
it for
a
an
fucking
audience.
Yeah.
She did it for a fucking audience. So it's like, if you want that,
Yeah, true.
Save
If
it
she
for
wanted it for
fucking
an
Turkey Day.
audience, yeah, or like schedule a dinner.
not the
at-
fucking funeral. Keep it together.
Exactly. On the funeral, that's like the one day where you should put everything aside, like everything aside.
What
And-
are you there for?
Yeah, to grieve, to mourn,
Be there for that
to
reason.
be sympathetic.
Yeah. We haven't seen his mom in 1 year and 8 months. I'm now 3 months pregnant. No one knew, only my sister-in-law, brother-in-law's wife. But word got out. Bitch.
Jinx.
Ah.
Yeah, what a bitch.
Though we told her not to say anything. Week later, I had family members saying I was invited to a dinner hosted by mother-in-law so she could both apologize in front of the whole family and settle this issue before the baby's born. They said mother-in-law was regretful and offered to financially provide for her grandbaby, and they want to see that. I refused, but my husband surprisingly wants me to go. I had his grandparents calling me, telling me that I'm a good person with a good heart and forgiveness is something I'm capable of giving.
Yes, ma'am. Capable, but not willing.
I'm literally going to pull up this quote by Taylor Swift because
Amazing. I can't believe these people. Like this whole family is like a little weird to me.
I think they're just like promoting this mother-in-law's toxic ass behavior.
Also, like,
and they're
grow
enabling
some
her.
balls and call me directly.
That's the thing.
Do you have people messaging this to me?
Yeah,
Like, what? Mother, she feels regretful. No, she can call me, grown ass woman.
Yeah.
Woman to woman, and tell me how regretful she feels.
Exactly. And if you're fucking blocked, send a letter. Plan
Yeah, oh my
this
God.
little shindig for 2 months down the road.
Yeah.
When she's even more pregnant. Yay. Then you get to
Yeah.
see the bump. Plan it for down the road. Send her a fucking letter if you're
But
blocked.
like, she has to realize that the only reason they're doing this is because there's another child involved.
Exactly.
If she wasn't pregnant, she wouldn't have heard from her
No.
mother-in-law.
Also, if this other child, like God forbid, it's a genetic condition where this other child then has like a heart problem.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how batshit crazy this bitch
Yeah,
is going to be?
absolutely not. That's so tough. But I see where she's coming from.
So, in the wise words of Taylor Swift, sorry if you're not a Swiftie, guys. You don't have to forgive and you don't have to forget to move on. You can move on without any of those things happening. You just become indifferent. and then you move on.
Yep. That's exactly my grieving process.
That's how
From start to finish.
I relate
Couldn't
to
have
that
said it
so
better.
fucking hard.
Yep. That is exactly how it happens. And everyone is like, you need to grieve. You need to be sad. You need to.
No, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm like, fine. They're like, no, you're not. Like, it's fine to be hurt. And I'm like, I'm hurt, but in a very passive, indifferent way. Like, it's just kind of like I'm moving on. Like, life goes on. And I don't have to sit here and have a kumbaya moment with you and forgive you.
No.
And I also don't have to fucking forget. So, like, it happened, but yeah, like I totally agree with that quote. Everyone deals with things differently, and if you decide that indifference is how you deal with things, and then
so be it.
You genuinely feel like you moved on, because there's one thing where like you
don't want to be harboring anything.
Yeah, and then like a year later, you just have a meltdown, and you're like, oh wow, I wasn't over it. I was not indifferent. I've been harboring this for a year now, and now it's all coming out.
I actually wasn't over this. Like saying like I actually wasn't over
it. I was like, what are you not over?
No.
Did you see my face? I was like, what are you not over? Who hurt you?
You got really scared.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's true though. Like, she doesn't have to. And that's what sucks is like, I was recently in a position where it's like, I was like in a situation with somebody and everyone's like, you know, oh, you should forgive this person. But it's like, I don't have to, one. And two, it's moments like that where you're made to feel like you're the reason for the disruption.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like she feels so bad. Just forgive her and come to the dinner and the family will be reunited and we can all move on. And now you're the reason that that's not happening because you are refusing to accept somebody's toxic apology and you just have decided that this is your boundary. Now you're the asshole.
Why is this being placed on her?
Right.
Why is this on her to forgive?
Mm-hmm. Because they're viewing her as the reason that like they're divided and that they can't see this new baby. But it's like, no, she did this to herself.
She was her own fucking catalyst in this.
And when someone hurts you, like, first of all, no one gets to decide how hurt you are. And second, no one gets to decide what you do with that hurt. So if her idea of rehabbing and moving on is, I just need to have a distant relationship with my mother-in-law, and that includes with my child, my future unborn child, then so be it. I mean, that's not ideal, but...
It's honestly not a loss, though, if the relationship is so tumultuous and toxic and energy draining. Like, what kind of... I'm sure maybe she'd be a good grandparent, like, maybe, but also...
But she's shown you that when shit goes south, she blames you.
Yeah.
And not even in a healthy... I mean, I guess there's not a healthy way to blame somebody, but...
There's no respect.
There's no respect and there's no like empathy. Like at the end of the day, that was what she really needed to come through with. Is like, you can think like, gosh, I just feel like if Alejandra wasn't so stubborn and she had done this or tried this or explored this, the baby would have been alive. You can think that and maybe have a conversation later. But when it comes to the funeral and when it comes to me grieving, you should just be like, the first priority is being empathetic and being supportive, because regardless, a loss is a loss, you know?
Such a big one like this too.
Yeah.
The last thing someone needs
her first and only child.
Yeah. Wow. I told them I'll never be sitting at the same table with the person who called me a bad mother at my child's funeral.
Yeah.
Yeah. Drop the mic at that. Yeah. I still remember it vividly to this day. My sister said this change of heart from mother-in-law is probably for the new baby. It could be, but I insisted I won't come. They're saying I'm making it hard for everyone to move on and pass this unresolved pain, and I should really go.
Yep.
I think at the end of the day, like kind of going with the Taylor Swift quote, like
circling back to T Swift.
I love the quote. I watched the interview and it was just it was spot on.
Yeah.
But I think like I've kind of learned this by letting go of toxic relationships, that like life is too short to waste your energy on people that are not deserving of it. And so for this, it's like, you're making this difficult on everyone. It's like, if that's the way you feel versus recognizing the person who is truly at fault here, then you don't deserve me. You don't deserve getting to know this new child.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's exactly how I felt with my situation. It's like, if that's how it's going to be viewed, instead of just like, hold the person accountable. If you're so upset, go hold the person accountable, because we wouldn't be here if that person hadn't acted this way. So like, I can relate to that very strongly. And it's like, and I've been in the position where I'm like, am I the asshole? Like, I'm the one asking the Reddit question. Like, am I the asshole for not wanting to like reconcile with this person? And it's like, no, if that's your boundary and you're at peace with it, because that's what matters at the end of the day. Is she at peace with it? Is she just trying to prove a point, or is she really at peace with this decision? And if the answer is the latter, she's at peace with it and she feels good about it, there's nothing. I mean, it's tough because your husband is now like, you know, that's what's tough too.
Especially with him being like, I think you should go.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of
now
pressure.
You're kind of like on your own. Like,
yeah.
You know, like nobody has your back really.
Yeah. Besides, her family, but like,
that's true.
I mean, your person, your husband, the father of you're 3 months pregnant, the father of your next child and the one you lost, like that's a lot of pressure to be put in. And honestly, like that is so annoying to me, and something that is talked about like throughout psychology a lot, where a big detriment in marriages is when one of the partners chooses their birth family versus the family they've chosen and created.
Yeah, that's got to be really tough.
That's where your loyalty should lie.
Yeah.
And so that is like a big reason for divorce. And it's like, it's just like they already have bad stats working against them. Like married couples that lose a child, like flip a coin on the divorce rates.
Yeah.
So it's just tough.
That's, I can't even imagine. And it's like I'm putting myself in her shoes right now, which is tough because I've never been married. I've never had a kid. I've never lost a child. But if it were me, I feel like she's being really strong. Like I think I would just eventually cave out of convenience. I feel like I would just be like, I wouldn't, which is really sad, but I feel like in my heart, I would still resent that person. And I'd still be like, I'm never letting you close to me. It's kind of like I saw this thing on Twitter that was like, we're okay, but we'll never be the same. Yeah. Which is basically to say like, I'm okay with you.
Just
like
neutral.
You're fine. I'll come to your dinner. You can come to my baby shower, but we'll never be the same.
No.
I will never love you the same. I will never treat you the same.
Yeah.
You never get access to the same parts of me that you had before. So the way that would translate here, like with the relationship with your mother-in-law, is like, you could just be like, yep, you know what? Whatever. Let's put this behind us for the sake of the child. But you'll never be the same.
Yeah.
You know?
I completely agree. It's hard to come back from something like that.
Yeah.
My dad said a quote to me once, and like, I broke something of his that was like really, really precious to him. And he said, like, after this all went down, he was like, you know, this is kind of like a shattered glass. And this is like life. When you have problems with people and you do something mean to hurt them, you broke a glass. Mm-hmm. And that glass will never be the same. Yeah. You might be able to fix it, but it'll never be the same.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's just like, it's something that I fucked up, and this literally happened when I was like 5, and it's haunted me since. Yeah. So it's something I always keep in mind, but
yeah. Which all of us almost always fuck up and drop a glass at least once in every relationship, right? Yeah. A relationship from start to finish is never the same. Someone drops a glass at some point.
Yeah, definitely. Know? It's just like, But
it's like, is this new version good for you? Yeah. That's kind of the question you have to ask, because it's never going to be the same. No one keeps a glass pristine for years without dropping it, right? Like somebody drops a glass, you know?
I mean, a little chip here and there.
Yeah,
for
they
sure.
say something that you can never really forget, or I don't know. Forgiveness is such an interesting topic. Like
it is
such an interesting topic.
It really is. Top comments on this one are really, really good. Not the asshole. I work in nursing in ICU, and I see people like your mother-in-law often. You were done so dirty, and absolutely no one will ever understand what you and your husband went through and the kind of horrific choices you had to make. People like to think modern medicine can cure anything, and it's just not true.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Next one, I felt sick to my stomach reading this. The pure audacity of this woman is beyond words.
Yeah, it's crazy to hear these stories and think like, it's like humbling. You're like, wow, my issue with so-and-so is not that bad. If someone can do this to someone else.
It pales in comparison.
Yeah, it does.
Definitely. Next comment. I'm so sorry, OP. I can't begin to imagine. Mother-in-law is a textbook narcissist. Mm-hmm. She's staging this fake public apology, and the flying monkeys have been unleashed. If OP plays along, mother-in-law will redirect the pregnancy attention onto herself. If OP doesn't, mother-in-law will bemoan her suffering to anyone who will listen. Mm-hmm. You can't win with a narcissist. Yeah. All you can do is refuse to play and let them find someone else to torment.
That was the best thing they could have said. That is so well said. You cannot win with a narcissist. Yeah. That's the best thing they could have said. You just have to refuse to play. You just have to like tap out and be like, I'm not playing with you. You know?
There are people you just can't win with. Yeah. You can't. Yeah. Like you can't engage with people like that, because no matter what you do, they'll spin it so that they're the most satisfied or they're the most assured in themselves. And no, I wouldn't be dabbling with this fucking family dinner.
No. So you wouldn't go.
I wouldn't go.
So you would just like continue to.
Yeah, I would not allow that person access to me. They don't deserve it.
Yeah.
Until she's like, I don't personally, once you burn a bridge with me, like it's really burned.
Yeah. Really just
It's fucking, it's torched.
annihilated.
It's fucking torched.
Ashes.
It's gone. It's gone. So which is hard because I'm like, I look at what I've put up with in some relationships and I'm like, I'm only like that now because of the times I've given second, third, fourth, fifth chances.
Yep.
And I've learned it doesn't work out. So that's why now I'm like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to waste your energy on someone like that.
Yeah, that's so true.
And so I look at it and I'm like, it's a really tough situation because you're connected to this woman forever.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you're married and you share children with this person.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like, you don't want to say never say never or whatever.
Yeah, true.
But she would really, really have to start demonstrating she's a recuperated fucking woman.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those things where the only thing that can salvage it is time and just the proof is in the pudding. So like actions, but
100%.
more so time. I think that can't be understated. Like, because someone can do all these great things in like a span of 1 month, 2 months, but that doesn't show consistent patterns and behavior.
It needs to be
Change
consistent.
behavior has to be over time. So like,
Yes.
people don't change overnight. You know, they can have revelations overnight, but in order to like act out those changed behaviors, it's just a matter of, it's like building a habit. It takes 21 days, whatever they say, right? So like the same way with behavior, you can decide to change your behavior overnight, but it's not changed behavior overnight. So I don't know. I think time, it's so important to give things time.
I can't add anything better to that. That was perfect.
Mic drop.
I
Said
literally
can't drop
was.
your mic, so.
No, it was. I've never really looked at something like that where it's like, yeah, time matters, but like the consistency part of it too. Cause it's like, okay, they could be better for a month and then fall into treating you like shit. And it's like, okay, well then you didn't change. So it's that combo of the two. Yeah. I just have a revelation sitting here. So that was great.
Realize some things.
God, yeah, it was deep. It was good.
I didn't mean for that.
No, I'm just thinking about like, I'm contemplating life right now after that. It's just.
Yeah. You think back to all the times people wronged you and you're like, oh, how long did it take? But it's always time. Like,
it is. It really is.